You mentioned also Argentina. How was that?
Well, I mean, I don't want to give the impression that I wasn't welcomed in Argentina. The psychodramatic family has always been warm and welcoming wherever we go. And as you know, I made some fine friends, actually in both countries. But they have a different history and also a different racial attitude. And I read a book about cowboys of the Pampas. And I have the sense that the Pampas in Argentina are some of the Pampas culture is still there. It's not visible, but there's something like that about Argentina. And I don't know if that's true, but that was my feeling. So that when I read that book, I said, yeah, I recognize that. Different kinds of cowboys from America, but still cowboys. That means people who go out into the wild a lot. And that may be completely my subjective experience. That they don't really like cities very well. And the behavior of the motor car drivers absolutely drove me wild. The white lines, they're behind the white lines. They curve, I mean, they drive like maniacs. I was hoping that I'd make it out of there safe when I was in the car.
How many times have you been there in Argentina?
Well, I've lost track. Monica would be able to tell you better than I. I've lost track. They were also, I'm terribly allergic to tobacco. If I in those days, when I walked into a cigarette smoked room, I went, and I had to go outside. And that was true in this country too. I remember JL having to be in California somewhere, 250 people smoking. And I knew I went inside, just like I did now, and I stepped outside and waited for JL until he was finished. Now, some of that was in Argentina. When I asked them, please don't smoke. You'll have to make a choice between smoking or having me. So, those are like little snapshots of what you remember where you were in one country. And then in Argentina, I encountered that horrible military regime. It was a nightmare. And I was very, very happy to be back there 10 years later when that was all gone. And I remember being invited to the university to speak. All young people, except in the back, were older ones, faculty. And I spoke of that incident and I said, is there by any chance anyone here who lived through that period? And the hands went up. And I looked at the younger people and they had never heard of it. It was hushed up, just like the Nazi period. Didn't want to talk about it. Did you have a regime like this in Brazil too?
Yes, of course. For more than 20 years, we have a military dictatorship.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Peron was no gift from the gods either. So they share that history. And I always feel so sorry for people who have lived under such oppression. I mean, I can forgive them almost anything else. They've suffered that. That's so monstrous. I mean, I can't imagine having to live like that.
Well,
and you know, Dalmiro Bustos had a nephew.
Yes.
At the medical school, shot in the back, going to school. I mean, how can you live with that? And the grandmothers, the lost children. I mean, and then the Nazi people taking those children away and bringing them up as their own. unbelievable.
Well, why don't we move?
What?
Why don't we move?
Yeah. On the other hand, I must say, the people were always wonderful in Argentina. I was very, there and in Brazil, very welcomed.
Mm. Well, let me provoke you a little bit. Afghanistan is the first one on the list.
And yeah, I have no knowledge of Afghanistan except what we learn. And the stupidity of America going in there. I mean, that was a sin.
Mm.
And I tell you, that was the downfall of America. And I had the same question about Vietnam. I remember saying to my husband, I can't understand what America is doing in Vietnam. There isn't a single economic, agricultural, commercial reason. Just because they happen to be Marxists. I say it in my book, was America so weak that it can't live with a little tiny country that's a stamp that happens to believe differently from us politically? Are we so weak here?
Mm-hmm.
This giant? I mean, David and Goliath? Well,
Cuba.
right?
Cuba.
Incomprehensible, yeah. Right.
You've been in Cuba, right?
Yeah, we were in Cuba once.
59, I think.
Mm.
Yeah, 1959.
Actually, we met very little, had very little difficulty in Cuba because it was Castro had just come in, and he was welcoming us. The American Psychiatric had a joint meeting with a Cuban psychiatrist. JL and I didn't go there. We were invited separately to give a demonstration, and it was just like any other. Problems were just like any other country. Identical.
So, by doing that, you never met Castro then?
No. He had just established himself a few months earlier.
Mm. But there was a reception where he was present?
I wouldn't know among the people there who was was a Castro agent or not. I mean, that's not what we looked into.
Mm-hmm.
We looked into the human heart. And at least one of those psychiatrists at that meeting came to this country, settled here.
Well, we are already, with Cuba, we are already number 12.
Not bad.